Welcome to the Deep Dive. This is where we take the sources you send us and really pull out the key stuff.
Exactly. We do the digging so you get the insights.
And today, we're jumping into the world of romance. We've got a summary and a review of Abby Jimenez's novel, Say You'll Remember Me.
So if you're curious about the book, but maybe, that to-be-read pile is looking a bit scary.
We get it. Think of this as your quick guide. We'll cover the plot, the main characters, the big themes, basically the essence of the story.
Yep, your shortcut to knowing what it's all about, plus maybe a few interesting tidbits along the way.
Okay, so let's kick things off with the male lead, Dr. Xavier Rush.
Right.
He's a vet, just graduated, already has his own practice.
Yeah.
And it sounds like his upbringing really shaped him.
Yeah, the summary mentions his parents maybe weren't the warmest, especially how they treated their dog.
And that seems to fuel his whole drive, not just to succeed, but to genuinely care for animals. He sounds kind of reserved, though.
Definitely described as stoic, doesn't take compliments well, but underneath, super loyal, very caring.
There's even that story about him adopting a perfectly healthy dog just because the owner wanted to dump it. So, a bit prickly, perhaps.
But with a soft center, exactly, which kind of sets the stage for when he meets Samantha.
Yes, Samantha. She's a social media manager for a mustard brand.
Yeah, mustard. And her story starts when she finds this abandoned kitten. She's instantly all about saving it. Very empathetic.
Okay, so vet meets mustard social media guru over a stray kitten. How does that first encounter go? Not smoothly, I'm guessing?
Not exactly. She brings the kitten in, and Xavier, being, Mr. Stoic professional.
Liver's bad news.
Bingo! The kitten has a pretty serious issue, no butthole, basically. Needs expensive surgery.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And Xavier, maybe thinking practically or cynically, suggests euthanasia might be the kindest option.
Oof. I can imagine Samantha did not react well to that.
Not at all. She's determined. She's like, nope, we're saving this kitten, and decides she'll raise the money. It's a real clash right from the start.
Classic conflict. He's logical, maybe a bit detached initially. She's all heart and determination.
Exactly. And Samantha, being the social media whiz she is, starts a GoFundMe, names the kitten Pooter, which is kind of funny.
Cooter. Okay. Does it work?
It does. It's successful. And here's the kicker. Xavier himself donates the last bit of money needed.
No way. So his sock center emerged.
Pretty quickly, yeah. He even admits she was right to fight for Pooter. Some nice little crack in that reserved exterior early on.
So, kitten saved, initial conflict resolved. What's next? Does this lead to romance?
You guessed it. When Samantha comes back for a checkup on Pooter, Xavier surprises her by asking her out.
Okay, I like this turnaround. What was the first date?
Get this, a sunset cruise for animal adoption.
Stop it. That's almost too perfect for them, isn't it?
Right. Super thematic, and apparently it goes really well. They connect.
And the second date? The summary mentioned mini golf.
Yeah, mini golf. Seems like fun, pretty normal. She meets his friends, makes a good impression. Things are looking good, progressing nicely.
Standard rom-com beats. Getting to know each other, meeting the friends.
But then, things take a weird turn. End of the second date, they decide to do an escape room at midnight.
An escape room. Okay, a bit quirky.
And they get accidentally locked in for hours.
Wait, seriously, locked in overnight?
For hours, yeah. Talk about forced proximity. It apparently pushes them to open up way faster than they might have otherwise, sharing deep stuff, vulnerabilities, forging a real connection.
Wow, okay, that's definitely not your typical second date. So they bond in the escape room.
They finally get out, head back to Samantha's apartment, which is apparently almost empty.
Uh-oh. Why is it empty?
Because she drops a massive bombshell. She's moving. Like now, in few hours. To California.
What? Why?
To take care of her mom, Lisa, who has dementia.
Oh my God. After that intense bonding experience, that's brutal.
Totally brutal. Xavier's heartbroken, obviously tries to get her to stay, but she asks him to just forget her.
Wow. Talk about a plot twist.
Yeah.
So she goes to California.
Yep. And we learn more about her family situation there. Her sister Geneva, who's a single mom, her brother Tristan, their dad. They've all moved in together to help with Lisa.
That sounds incredibly stressful. The summary mentioned the dad was already feeling burnt out.
Yeah, it paints a picture of a family really under pressure from the start.
And Xavier. Is he just supposed to forget her? Does he?
Well, he tries, but clearly that escape room connection was real. He can't forget her. So he actually flies out to California for a weekend visit.
He shows up. Good for him. How does that go? Especially with the family situation.
It actually goes surprisingly well. There's a moment where Lisa is having a difficult dementia episode, and Xavier handles it with this amazing calm and compassion.
Really? Where does that come from? His vet background, maybe? Dealing with distressed animals?
Could be. Or maybe it's just who he is deep down. Either way, the family is super impressed. He gets their stamp of approval.
Okay, so there's still hope for them.
Yeah.
Do they try long distance?
They do. But it's tough, as you'd expect. Xavier starts working like crazy, maybe too much, just to afford the flights. Samantha flies back to Minnesota when she can.
That classic long-distance struggle.
Yeah.
Hard to maintain connection, expensive.
And the pressure cooker back in California keeps getting hotter. The caregiving strain is intense. Then their grandmother passes away.
Oh, adding grief on top of everything else.
Right. And then the dad admits he's been seeing other people because he can't cope. So the family is really fraying.
This sounds incredibly realistic, actually. The messiness of real family crises.
It does. And things get worse for Samantha. Personally, she loses her job.
No. So she becomes the full-time caregiver.
Pretty much. Which leads to her feeling really isolated, maybe depressed. It's a tough spot.
Understandably. It sounds like the romance plotline is taking a backseat to some very heavy real-life issues.
It definitely is. And it hits a crisis point when her brother, Tristan, sees how much she's struggling and basically sends her to Minnesota for a break to see Xavier.
A rescue mission from her brother.
Yeah.
What does she find when she gets there?
She finds Xavier completely wiped out. Sick. He's got double pneumonia from overworking himself.
Double pneumonia. Oh, man. They're both running on empty.
Totally. And that forces a conversation. They realize they can't keep pushing themselves like this. They agree to focus on, like, quality visits, not just quantity, making the time they do have count.
A necessary reality check, I guess. Do things start looking up?
Thankfully, yes. Samantha gets a new job offer, which is a huge weight off her shoulders.
Okay, good.
And she takes charge, calls a family meeting to figure out a more sustainable care plan for her mom, taking initiative.
That's great. What about Xavier? Still working himself into the ground.
Well, he gets some crucial advice from his mentor, this guy Hank.
Oh, yeah. What does Hank say?
Hank basically tells him, look, love and connection, that's the stuff that really matters, more than just grinding for financial security.
Sometimes you need that outside perspective, right?
Yeah.
A reminder of priorities.
Absolutely. And it seems to hit home for Xavier, because he makes a huge decision.
What does he do?
He decides to move to California for Samantha.
Wow. That's a massive step.
And he doesn't just move, he proposes on the anniversary of their first meeting.
Oh, okay. That's the big romantic gesture, full circle moment.
Totally. And the update is pretty happy. 11 months later, things have settled. The family found a better caregiving rhythm.
And Samantha and Xavier.
Happily married, navigating life together. And get this, Hank and some other retired vets help manage Xavier's Minnesota clinic.
Oh, that's great. So he didn't have to completely give it up.
Well, it allows him to actually start a new practice out in California. So best of both worlds, kind of. They found a way.
That sounds like a really satisfying resolution after everything they went through. Earned their happy ending.
Definitely seems that way. Now, diving into the characters themselves, based on the review, Xavier is painted as, like, the ultimate rom-com hero.
The MMC male main character.
Exactly, checks all the boxes.
Yeah.
Loyal, hardworking, handsome. Maybe unrealistically so.
Uh-huh. Naturally.
A bit cranky, but melts for Samantha the whole cinnamon roll thing, and totally, completely head over heels for her. Down bad, as the review puts it.
And the animal lover aspect is key too, right? That makes him extra appealing.
Huge appeal. Who doesn't love a guy who's great with animals?
True. What about Samantha? How was she described?
As a decent FMC female main character, pretty, kind, empathetic, especially with her family stuff, her inner thoughts are relatable.
And she avoids being annoying. No pick-me vibes.
Apparently not, which is always a plus. The one slight critique was that maybe she wasn't overtly funny.
But Xavier liked her mustard puns, didn't he?
Exactly. Maybe her humor is just subtle. Or maybe it's just cute to him because he's so smitten. It's a sweet little detail.
What about the rest of the family? Geneva, Tristan, the dad.
They're seen as a solid supporting cast, maybe touch on some cliches here and there, but mostly they function to support the main couple and, importantly, to ground the story.
Ground the story how?
Well, the review really highlighted how real their struggles felt, the way they rallied, but also the cracks that showed the dad's burnout, the grandmother worrying about being a burden.
Tristan being kind of combative as a defense mechanism.
Exactly. And Geneva's exhaustion. It felt like watching a real family dealing with really tough stuff. It adds a lot of depth beyond just the romance, makes the stakes feel higher.
Yeah, that sounds like it elevates it beyond a simple love story. So, wrapping this up, it feels like we've got a good handle on Say You'll Remember Me Now.
I think so. We've covered the core plot vet meets mustard guru, kitten rescue, escape room bonding, unexpected move, long-distance struggles, family drama, and finally, the big move and proposal.
Plus, we looked at the characters, the archetypal but lovable Xavier, the relatable Samantha, and the realistically portrayed family dealing with dementia care.
It really seems to balance the sweet romance with some pretty heavy, relatable life challenges.
Absolutely. So, maybe a final thought for you listening. Thinking about Xavier and Samantha's journey, how do you balance your own ambitions with what love and family demand?
Yeah, that's a good question. What becomes non-negotiable when life throws those big decisions at you? Definitely something worth mulling over.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
Read it or skip it.